Well, oh, dang it. Oh, sorry, I've got a kitten in front of on my desk blocking my notes. This time we watched Season 3, Episode 16, Gamera versus Zigra.
Because Chris and I have been turtling all month.
Oh, God, so much turtling, so many Gameras.
You're starting to feel it, aren't you?
I thought that Gamera was really neat and full of turtle meat, and one of those turned out to be true.
But which you find out at the end of this episode, where we reveal that and the true identity of the murderer. This is a murder mystery podcast, by the way.
The further I get away from Gamera movies, the more I like them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking very fondly now about all the other Gamera movies we did. I don't know.
Is it like that pickup line where it's like, you're sorry to see Gamera go, but it's great to watch him leave?
Yeah, I don't know. It's nice when he flies off into space, and I know that someday I'll see him again, but I don't have to look at him right now. As I think we mentioned last episode, we're recording this episode the next day.
Yeah.
Because
much like Porky's 2, it's the next day.
Yes. So there hasn't been a chance for any follow-up. I haven't seen any of your angry emails about how we got everything wrong with Gamera versus Zigra, how disappointed you are in us, but we have no real follow-up at all, I don't think.
Well, I do have one thing. So last episode, just for brevity, I had mentioned in an already fairly long segment that in the Gamera versus Viras film, there is a 10-minute flashback, a clip show.
Right, which got longer, I think you said, during the American versions.
That's right. Now, depending on what version you watch, that clip show might just be a lean 3 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, the theatrical cut that played in Japan just had a couple of clips, basically that were the length of the Gamera march.
Right.
And international versions and home video versions in Japan had the full 10 minutes. So I'm not sure what's like released in North America right now. If you get like the 3-minute version or like the 10-minute version, you definitely don't get the 20-minute version unless you're watching the one with the alternate title.
Oh, okay. All right. Good to know. Depending on whether you want, more Gamera with your Gamera or less Gamera with your Gamera.
It's leftovers. Do you like having leftovers? Do you like having a supercuts of all the great Gamera fights?
Boy, do I ever.
Mm-hmm.
In other news, we did an episode at the end of the year where we had a special guest on. We had Beth on, and a lot of you have written in to say, hey, it was great to see Beth. We'd love to see more of Beth. Please give us more Beth. Beth. Beth is the best. So that's nice. That's very sweet of you all to say. That's all. No, it's very
You're not going to read any of those?
I'm not going to read any of those. That's all they said, basically. But we will see if we can lure Beth back onto the show sooner rather than later. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible, especially after Gamuary, which seems magical, but then it's so magical, it spreads that turtle magic to the other 11 months of the year.
Beth refused to do any more Gamuary nonsense.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Oh, well, we'll see what we can do about that. But I guess, enough dithering about. We shall move on to talk once more about Gamera versus Zigra, huh?
I am excited. This is double your flavor and double your fun of Zigra. This time we watch Season 3, Episode 16, Gamera versus Zigra. All right, it's another Gamera movie, okay? Honestly, you can approach this one like a shopping list. Oh, honey, do we pick up the doofy-looking monster whose special effects artist would be mortified to bring to a Godzilla film? Uh-huh. What about the Gamera theme song? Okay. What about the requisite scene where Gamera saves children? Oh, we got that too. Speaking of kids, do we have an annoying boy in short pants named Kenny? We do! Oh, that's great. Hate to make 2 trips. Oh, and by any chance, is there a space woman who chases after said kids? There is! Oh, well, sounds like we have all the ingredients we need to make a Gamera sequel, which is just perfect. The end.
Meanwhile, on the satellite of love, Joel and the bots are having a root beer kegger party with a Gamera pinata and everything. Why? Well, this is the final Gamera movie, that's why. At least it is for them. And who doesn't like root beer? Well, the Mads interrupt the revelry for the invention exchange. And now, TV's Frank can live out his dreams of being a Three Stooge with their new invention, the Three Stooges gun. Now, the offensive gun shoots out 2 fingers, and the defensive gun... that's a concept. Anyway, the defensive gun puts up a hand to block them. Fun! For his invention, Joel, having turned Tom into a root beer pony keg, has turned Crow into shish kebabs. The second host segment is a classic early MST3K educational bit. Crow and Tom have made a schematic model of Gamera's innards. Why, he's got a game room for the kids and a wine room for the ladies. Seems pretty sweet. But the third segment, well, that offers more educational bits, as all the bots create shoebox dioramas out of Play-Doh. Tom and Crow do a very nice job depicting their favorite scenes from the Gamera films, but Gypsy's diorama is, well, maybe it's a little undercooked, but it's still pretty sweet. In the fourth segment, the party is still raging strong, when suddenly, boom! Oh no, give us rocket number 9! It's Gamera! And Kenny and Helen are riding on top. Kenny is feeling really good, and Helen wants a Coke, and that's about all you'll hear from them. So, finally, everybody celebrates the end of the Gamera era by doing the Gamera theme song in different styles. Joel sings it a la Ika Mouse, Tom lays down a beat jazz poem, and Crow tries to rap. Gypsy performs a Wagner-esque aria, and then everybody comes together for a barbershop version that sounds suspiciously like it's all Tom's voice. Well, anyway, the Mads respond with a chaotic punk version until Dr. F destroys the control panel with his guitar. Whoopsie, the end.
I don't think there's anything more embarrassing than Crow tries to rap.
I don't know. Joel's Ika Mouse is pretty cringe.
It's also, I mean, the segment is saved by the extremely sweet barbershop quartet version of Gamera at the end.
Yeah, that and I mean, I like the Valkyrie aria from Gypsy there. I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah, but yeah, the punk one's pretty good too.
It's okay. And in the punk one, you've got the interns Jerry and Sylvia, the mole people, playing backup, which is always nice to see a little bit of them.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, I haven't seen you guys since what, Rocket Ship XM? How long has it been?
Well, we've sat through another Gamera versus Zigra.
Yes, that's just it. We don't just get the joy of watching all the Gamera movies, we get all the joy of watching the Gamera movies twice. And you know what? If I said that last episode, it's fitting. But I mean, I wager that the last episode is one of the better KTMA Gameras. And but what would you make of this as a Comedy Central offering?
I mean, it's fine. It's still a Gamera movie, but it's a good episode.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. I think that it's not the most memorable episode in terms of like what's going on in the theater, which is weird because I'd say Zigra is a weirdly memorable kaiju movie, but it's sort of spoiled when you just watch the KTMA episodes. So it loses its novelty. But the sketches are really fun. I love Joel's diorama of just him and the bots together. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the invention exchange from the Mads, just for Frank's like totally lifeless delivery of nyuk nyuk whoop whoop whoop.
No more nyuk 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 whoop whoop.
Yeah, no, they're firing on all cylinders, I guess. It's not the most amazing episode, but it's certainly solid.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it other than that. It's good. Thumbs up. Can we watch something that's not Gamera now, please?
Yeah. Watch something that's not Gamera. Let's talk about something that's not Gamera, please.
Oh, right. We still have to finish this episode.
Yeah, we've got 50 minutes to go.
Oh, boy. What else can we say about this one?
The weather was nice today.
This one has Joel doing a spit take.
Hey, that's something.
It's something I particularly like it because it's like a really slow spit take. Not that it like spits out slowly, but just that like he's sipping it and it just takes forever for Tom to say something to him that causes the spit take. It feels really pacey.
And, we've got, what else have we got? Well, hey, I'm reminded of something else. So let's talk about that. Hey, Chris, I like the Three Stooges.
Do you? I think we've talked about this in previous episodes, but yes.
We have. I got something new.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I don't, because I never liked the Three Stooges, and they don't mean a lot to me. And so I have nothing to add to the Three Stooges part of this show. But tell us something about the Three Stooges and you.
Well, I just discovered something not that long ago.
There were four of them.
There was more than four of them.
Well, there were six of them or something,
Joe,
but yeah.
Yeah. Curly Joe Dorita. I mean, my God, that's just a poor man's Curly. But the thing that I discovered is that when I was a kid, I, in addition to watching the Three Stooges shorts, I would watch the Three Stooges cartoon, which seems like a waste of time, as isn't the joy seeing grown men behaving like cartoons?
I have seen the cartoon and thought it was even more boring, yes.
So how exactly do you improve or ruin this concept even further? I discovered a cartoon that was not in syndication when I was a kid, unlike the original Three Stooges cartoon. And have you ever heard of something called the Bionic Stooges?
Oh, God. Is this a 70s thing?
This, I'm fairly certain, is a 70s thing.
Okay. No, I'm assuming it's inspired by the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman and all that, but no, the Robonic Stooges?
The Robonic Stooges. I'm sorry, I getting my Bionics and my Robonics confused.
I had a quick Google and there it is. Oh boy, it is from the 70s.
Yeah, 1978. You would get, or 77, I think.
77 to 78. You're doing fine.
Yeah, you would naturally get confused. I mean, Robonic, Bionic, but then they'd probably get sued if it was Bionic.
I guess.
But yeah, like Larry, Curly, and Moe are now robots. They're basically a bunch of Inspector Gadgets, and they have to fight crime.
Why? Why?
Yeah, I mean, of all the ways to continue the Three Stooges, once again, it's like you lose something when you take the cartoonish violence of the Three Stooges being played out in real time with real people and turn that into a cartoon. But then you turn those cartoons into robots who can't possibly harm each other because they're robots. Why are we even doing this?
Why are we doing this in the late 70s too? Like, they're all dead.
What was there that much of a cry for new Three Stooges material, specifically with a robot theme? Like, and also more importantly, is there like an Asimov type rule of robotics where it's like, you will not harm another Stooge?
Oh, no. This is awful looking.
Yes.
Have you watched it now?
I watched a little bit of it, and I had that on while I was doing some work. And the 70s might be the worst decade for cartoons.
Uh-huh.
It just might. I think a profound argument can be made, but this could be the worst of the worst. The Robonic Stooges might be the single worst idea that anyone has ever had. If you can think of a worse cartoon, write in to info@itsjustashow.com.
Well, so they talk about how this is the last Gamera. We've already covered the fact that it's not going to be the last Gamera for us, but it is the last Gamera for them. But it's not the last Gamera, and it's not even the last Gamera of the original run of Gameras, as I understand it.
Yeah, that's where things get confusing. I think most people consider this to be the last of the Gameras, but they made one more movie.
So, okay, is there something wrong with that movie that people wouldn't consider it one of the original Gameras?
Well, let's get into a little film called Space Monster Gamera, aka Gamera Super Monster.
Wait a minute, that doesn't have Gamera versus anybody.
And yet, this, I think you'll find, is the most verses of any Gamera.
What does that mean? It's in poetry?
It should be. Well, it does rhyme in a lot of places. There's a lot of familiar sounds that you will get out of this Gamera. Let's begin. A pirate ship called Xanon is threatening Earth. And in our first hint that this movie will not quite have the budget of previous movies, Xanon is seen destroying satellites through concept art rather than special effects.
Okay. So it's like a montage of drawings.
Yes.
Right.
With voiceover going like, we are the evil alien Xanon and Earth is doomed.
This is our PowerPoint presentation.
Basically, yeah, it's like that Jackbox game. But I will say, eventually we cut to a model, and it's both extremely cool and extremely derivative all at once, because it's basically the Imperial Destroyer from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, forget all about that. There's a trio of super ladies who communicate via their earrings.
Of course. This sounds very Gamera.
Yep. And they get together in their super van, which, again, by playing... I should mention this was made in 1980, but even if I had mentioned that, the following sentence will make this clear. The van becomes super powered when a keyboard is played.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So it acquires the gift of flight whenever you hit certain notes on a keyboard.
There's a keyboard in the, like on the dash or something?
It is on the dash, yeah.
Huh. Like a musical keyboard, not a computer keyboard.
Not a computer keyboard. No.
Oh, this is wild. Okay.
This is borderline guitar. And
Key van.
the van starts flying about. The aliens make their evil pronouncements to the space women, who are referred to only as the space women.
To them or through them?
To them.
Oh, wait, the space women are the good guys?
The space women are the good guys. There's an evil space woman who shows up a little later.
Okay, so none of this has to do with Earth.
Yeah, this is the one kind of breaking of tradition. Space women are already on Earth.
Oh.
And they're good.
Oh.
And they have a van.
And they have a van.
Yeah.
Okay, so far so Steven Universe.
Well, this is where we get a lot in common with Steven Universe, especially if you watch that first episode, because then we're introduced to an annoying kid, Chris.
Yeah, well, of course there's going to be a Kenny somewhere.
Yeah, and I think his name is Kaiichi, but it's like he's you're right, he's a Kenny.
Traditionally, Keiichi is what all of the Kennys are actually named.
Yeah, I think so. Although one of them is like a Hiroshi, but whatever.
Yeah,
it don't matter. They're all Kennys. That's their role. And we're introduced to this Kenny, and guess what? Because it's 1980, he's playing a keyboard.
Of course.
And he performs an entire song uninterrupted about Gamera.
No. Is it the Gamera song?
No.
Oh, no.
It's a brand new song, and boy, does it suck.
Of course it does. Does he rap?
No, he doesn't rap because it's 1980, not 1985.
That's true. But maybe he'd heard of Blondie.
Oh, probably.
Okay, so we've got a kid with a keyboard who's the Kenny, and we've got the good alien ladies, and they're going to go out into space to fight off this ship?
Well, they've got a flying car, but their flying car only acts like an airplane, not a spaceship.
Okay, so what are they going to do about the spaceship?
Well, you're never going to believe this. They're going to wait until Kenny shows up at the pet store where the main space woman works.
What?
Yes.
Why does she work there?
Because they all have jobs, because you know what? Like, things are tough on Earth. They didn't show up with money. They had to earn.
Okay.
So things are rough for our space ladies. It's not very romantic. And he adopts a turtle. And we basically go through the chibi subplot from the original Gamera all over again, where it's all about a turtle being given up, and the kid thinks the turtle turned into Gamera.
Right. Okay, good. Go back to the classics. It's been a few years. You can do that.
Yeah. Why not? It had been the first Gamera movie in 9 years, I think.
Yeah.
So at this point, a Gamera comes flying in, and this is our space lady's great plan, because one, Kenny is totally convinced that by setting his turtle free, the turtle became Gamera.
Right.
The lady's like, oh yeah, we forgot, Gamera lives here in Japan. He'll stop the space monster.
He can fly into space, as we know.
Yeah, he's done it before. He'll do it again. And it's not like fighting aliens is new territory for Gamera.
No.
Oh, but you'll never guess what happens next, Chris.
Gamera gets knocked out and spends most of the movie incapacitated.
Well, see, that is a very good guess, but you're wrong.
Oh. Clip show. It's a clip show.
There you go. There you go. The entire movie, or rather 80% of the movie, is just Gamera movies that we've already seen. But again, it's a highlight reel. We talked about the glories of reruns last episode, so this has its purpose, I guess, in 1980. But yes, there's a new Gamera suit that is only seen for about 2 minutes, just like the Imperial Star Destroyer, where they both look pretty good for the time, but they're only on screen for, again, a couple minutes each. We see Gamera fly around in the new footage. Then we see fights from the different movies. Then every now and then someone will have a dream sequence where Gamera is flying into space And it's not concept art and it's not model work. Gamera's just flying around a bunch of really good animation.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it becomes weirdly music video like. And you would think, oh, well, there's no way they're going to incorporate the black and white footage from the original Gamera, especially since Gamera's evil in that movie.
I mean, they've done it before.
They do again, but this time they're at least clever about it in that they combine the footage with from Gamera versus Virus, where the aliens take over Gamera, and the black and white footage from the original Gamera, and like the one bit of Gamera versus Baragon where he's destroying stuff unmotivated.
Right.
They use the color footage for when no characters are seeing it, and then the space women and Kenny are watching the footage on a black and white TV.
See, that's how they should do it.
Yeah.
But wait a minute now. So here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Are we just remembering the good times, or is this somehow like he's fighting Baragon again?
Yeah, basically all the monsters have come back to life
Oh,
without explanation, and he's fighting them all over again, one by one.
it's one of those boss battles.
Yes. Yeah, it's a boss rush.
Oh, God. I hate those.
Yeah. Well, you will not like Gamera Super Monster. Let's see. At this point, there's another full performance of the Gamera song. Again, the new one, not the cool one that we love.
Oh, is the classic one in there at all?
No.
Oh, what's the point?
I know. Again, there's an evil space lady, but she is overcome by the power of goodness and sacrifices herself. And this becomes the theme of the movie because Gamera, after defeating all the monsters that he's defeated in his series of movies, flies into outer space and just charges headfirst into the Imperial Star Destroyer, and they both blow up. Gamera dies at the end of this movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
The fun stock footage romp of, hey, remember Gamera? Are you nostalgic for Gamera? Well, Gamera dies.
I mean, he's died before.
But he's never been fully dead. I mean, he's been shot into space.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, they can get past that if they need to.
I don't know, man. They never made another Gamera movie in this continuity. Gamera is legit dead at the end of this one. And you'd think that this would lead to a pretty bleak ending.
No, not in a Gamera film.
No, not allowed. So Kenny's crying, but the space ladies remind him that they're space ladies and it's super fun to be in space and fly around and stuff. So they change into their Superman type outfits because they have capes and stuff. Mm-hmm. Whenever they spin around and do some jazzercise, they change from their 80s wear to their superhero wear. And they take Kenny flying while the Gamera song plays one more time.
I really appreciate doing this podcast with you so that I can find out about these movies that I never, ever, ever have to watch.
No, I don't think you would enjoy this.
No, indeed.
But I will say something about Gamera Super Monster, as pointless as it is the Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 of the Gamera series, yet without the charms of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. However, despite it being a clip show, I will say there's something I picked up on that's kind of neat. You know how all like the old Gamera movies that we've watched, including this one, have this kind of like remote quality to them where it's like we're never really in like downtown Japan like we are in the Godzilla movies for the most part. Like there's scenes of citywide destruction, but we're usually in like more rural areas with kids.
Yeah.
This is a full-on like 80s movie where like skyscrapers are everywhere, yet despite like the kind of tone change that would occur with the 80s Godzilla reboot and the 90s Gamera reboots, there's still like the 60s sensibility in like the gritty city. And so like everything looks 80s and gritty, but it still feels like an old school Gamera movie in like the new footage. And that combination is like weirdly appealing.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's one only for the diehards, and especially if you can stomach the thought that Gamera closed out his movie series by dying, which just seems like so. It's I don't know. That's crazy. It's like killing off James Bond. You don't kill off Gamera.
Well, it was real disappointing to hear that the Gamera theme as we know it wasn't in that ridiculous later movie. Because, of course, it's the best part of any Gamera movie when it comes in. And especially if you know the lyrics to the MST3K version of it, which in both of the episodes that we looked at this year, they don't quite, right? In the KTMA era one, they're doing like a first draft, they're workshopping it, they're spitting it out, they're ad-libbing maybe, and it's similar to what they're going to come up with, but it's not quite there.
Gamera, Gamera, Gamera. Gamera's really neat. Gamera's filled with meat. Gamera's really neat. Hooray for Gamera. He's gone.
Look!
Fight, fight, fight. Turtle and a swordfish. Gamera. Samurai, Gamera, Gamera.
Gamera, Nagasaki, Gamera. Nagasaki, Toyota, Gamera. Datsun, Nissan, Toyota, Gamera.
And this time, they've just done the one where they finally sing the lyrics a few episodes ago, and they've kind of forgotten them already. And they try to sing along at one point, and they're just like, oh, what was that again? Gamera's really neat. Something, something, turtle meat. Something, we love you, Gamera. I can't remember. It's really weird.
See, my favorite part of the song was always eyes, teeth, breath, claws, scales, fun. Something along those lines.
Yep.
I think I got it, but I got the order wrong, I think.
Yeah, that part they don't even try to do, I don't think.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know. Did you have more to say about this than that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, where does the great MST3K Gamera song come from? But
Gamera. It comes from a Gamera movie.
it comes from not just a Gamera movie, Chris, the Gamera movie, Gamera versus Guira.
Yes, the good one.
And to find out more, I need to take you to a little Gamera-filled corner known as the Scorner. So yeah, this is the first score by a fellow by the name of Shunsuke Kikuchi. Kikuchi is actually like one of the biggest names in when it comes to like anime and stuff, because he did Dragon Ball Z and several of its follow-ups.
Okay.
But he's like super versatile. He's done scores for he did the action film Sister Street Fighter. He did a great famous little horror movie from Japan called Goki Body Snatcher from Hell, and he started scoring the Gamera series as of Gamera versus Guiron, and they knew they had something good there.
And they did, yes.
Yeah, and sure enough, I guess on the note of Kikuchi is that he's still alive, which is cool. I've just found out that he stopped composing in 2017. He's now in retirement, but like at least he's still kicking around. There was something from the Wayback Machine that suggested he stopped composing due to illness, and I hope he got better. But none of that matters. What matters is that this is, of course, the source of the great Gamera March.
Yay.
Yes. Do you know the lyrics to the Gamera song outside of the MST3K version?
Oh, I've seen them once, but I've totally forgotten them. So please remind me.
Okay. It goes, Gamera, Gamera, you are strong, Gamera, you are strong, Gamera, you are strong, Gamera. MMJV.
What?
I don't know what that means. Monsters coming from Mars or some other alien world. Come on, space monsters. Bring it on. Let's cut and poke. Okay, go. Using spinning jets, he will win. You are strong, Gamera. You are strong, Gamera. You are strong, Gamera.
Wow.
I don't know what the letters are about.
What is the letters about?
Yeah, I've seen a version of this that just went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But that made even less sense to me.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, annoyingly, this website, which might be where you got it, has a little like question mark hover thing for the MMJV part, but it's not doing anything. So now I'm trying to go deep into I'm going to dig into the code. It means okay. I have dug deep into the code on this Wikipedia type page, on this Wikizilla page, and it is apparently meant to be Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus.
Oh, space monsters.
So it's space letters.
That makes more sense than Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which I saw on a different website and totally discarded.
Wow. I noticed now that I've got the wiki pages open just to look over while you read these things, that in fact, our good friend Kikuchi, or however you say it, is also the composer for Gamera Super Monster.
Yes, that he stayed with the Gamera series from Guiron onwards, or at least he stayed with the original Gamera series from Guiron onwards. He's not in the reboots.
But they could have used this. They could have used this song, surely.
Yeah, well, that's just it. They wanted to update it for the 1980s, so they got a brand new song.
Oh, right. Got to update things for the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's for the best, but not in this case.
Well, what do you think of the rest of the music in this movie that isn't the Gamera March?
Well, I think that there is... I would say that when it comes to monster music, the greatest stuff is by a composer named Akira Ifugube, who is, of course, best known for being the major composer behind the Godzilla movies. Now, in the 1960s and 70s, when Ifugube was too busy, too tired, or simply wanted too much money, and they didn't get him, the composers they got were pretty crappy. By contrast, like the stuff that Kikuchi is doing is really fun. So it's not quite top tier, but it's still pretty good. It's a solid silver. There's a lot of really fun guitar work, and especially there's a great track that opens the movie for the Sandy Frank version, and possibly the Japanese version. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But it's called Persistent Pursuit. And that's where you get the chase music for when our space lady is chasing Helen and Kenny.
Ah, okay, that's what that music was.
Yes, and it's got prominently mixed drums, electric guitar, and a bassoon.
Yes.
And it's one of the best things about today's movie.
So I did notice that because in the KTMA era episode, at some point during those opening credits, Joel says something like, "Oh, this music's really good."
Yeah, and he's right.
And then I watched bits of the actual movie without the MST3K treatment, without the Sandy Frank treatment, and over the opening credits, which of course doesn't have footage of water.
No.
It's real. Over the opening credits, you've got a different recording, as far as I can tell, of the Gamera March. It sounds like it's all boys singing this time.
Oh.
I mean, it still sounds very childlike, but it sounds a little bit deeper, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm mishearing it, but it sounded like a different recording, which isn't what you hear during the rest of the movie. It was good.
Oh, well, that explains why on the soundtrack album, this track, which is called Persistent Pursuit, is not the first track on the CD, but is like track 11.
Yeah. No, you start with the Gamera theme. Come on.
Well, that's what the people are coming in for. But, maybe you start with like the karaoke version.
Maybe.
So that people can fill it in, MMJV, MMJV.
Yeah, you got to get the kids all nice and worked up for the start of the movie.
But yeah, I would say that it's a fine score. It's got some really great moments. I'm a big fan of Persistent Pursuit, and the Gamera song is a classic for a reason.
Hey everybody, it's time for the Shallow 13.
It's time for the Shallow 13. 13 more bits and bobs about today's movie and episode. Gamera versus Zigra. Go, Chris, go!
Gamera vs. Zigra was one of 6 films written in 1971 by screenwriter Nisan Takahashi, here credited as Fumi Takahashi. The other 5 were Seijuku, Snow Country Elegy, Wicked Nun, The Secret Ceremony, and... what's this? Snapping Turtle Girl Gang Boss? Ooh, is this another Gamera ripoff?
Maybe not. It's about a young woman who comes into Tokyo looking for the man who stole her money and ready to kick all kinds of ass. See, the titular snapping turtle is apparently the girl and not Gamera, who presumably would have joined some kind of kaiju yakuza. Hey, there's a film just aching to be made. Kaiju Yakuza. Give me a call, Hollywood and/or Japan.
Oh, and I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that the role of Snapping Turtle was played by Eiko Yanami, who played Laura Lee, the hypnotized astronaut who serves as Zigra's henchwoman throughout most of today's movie.
Budget cuts were a major issue on the later Gamera films, and Nihon Takahashi was instructed by Dai to make sure that his fight scenes go past a 4th round, which might explain the long wait times between kaiju battles in this film.
And in fact, Dai soon went bankrupt after the release of Gamera vs. Zigra. And then, as Wikizilla puts it, a riot broke out in the studio, causing a fire that destroyed all of the studio equipment used for the Gamera films. And once again, that was Wikizilla, not to be confused with Gojipedia.
Despite Dai Studios' bankruptcy, director Noriaki Yuasa hoped to make a Gamera film for the following year. Alas, nothing ever became of his concept, which was reputedly titled Gamera vs. Two-Headed Monster W.
This week's Invention Exchange marks the first time our beloved Deep 13 henchman refers to himself as TV's Frank.
Hi, my name is TV's Frank, and I am a Stoogeaholic.
Hi, TV's Frank.
Wow, with the KTMA version of Zigra being the first on-screen appearance of the original Mads, there are milestones aplenty in either riff of this film.
Speaking of the OG Mads, Tom can be heard doing an impression of Dr. Lawrence Earhart in this episode.
Enjoy!
And once again, speaking of firsts, this episode marks Bridget Jones' first appearance on the show, playing young Helen in segment 4.
As Gamera flies above Kenny and Helen, we hear the riff,
Please welcome your host and MC from Monster Island and Miami Beach, Gamera!
not to go all, well, actually, here, but where better to go all, well, actually, than in the Shallow 13? You see, Monster Island, aka Monsterland, is a Godzilla movie location. It's an officially named location in 1968's Destroy All Monsters, but it's likely the same island Godzilla was hanging out in during Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, Rift, a mere season ago.
Quoth Mary Jo Peele from the Amazing Colossal Episode Guide Plot Summary, "This movie has a strong ecology message, and indeed, it should be put in a compost heap."
More from Mary Jo. I have mixed feelings about the Gamera movies. On the one hand, their odd and vigorously depressing tone make me want to step in front of a bus. Then again, their sheer length, mass, heft, volume, and viscosity overwhelm me, and they sit on my head, bouncing lightly up and down. It's an interesting conundrum. Actually, when we were informed that we could acquire the rights to the Gamera series, Joel, Kevin, Trace, and Jim jumped at the chances, as they had done them with great success at KTMA locally.
And she continues, "Oh, to be so young and foolish. I remember the world before Gamera when I was a sapling, still green in youth. There were concerts in the park. People seemed to laugh more then. So if you see me celebrate 2 birthdays and give myself out as 2 different ages, one of them 25 years younger than I look, it's because my eyes were truly opened the day I saw Gamera, and the dewy patina of youth was washed away, and in its stead grew a hard reptilian shell that I wear to this very day."
And that's time!
Now. At one point in this film, we get a shot, an overhead shot of something. I don't even remember what. What I do remember is that Crow says,
Meanwhile, at Dolly World,
and so I have to ask you, have you been to Dollywood?
No, I could only dream. At first, I thought Dollywood was a joke. I didn't think that it was real, but it turns out that it is. So I became kind of excited. I'm sad. It's like I probably will never get a chance to go to Dollywood, especially with the world being the way that it is now.
Yeah, I've never been to Dollywood either. It is definitely one of those things that seems not quite real, kind of a joke, but it's also a joke that turns out to be real, which, to be fair, is kind of Dolly Parton in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like, Dolly Parton has always been a little bit of a joke to a lot of people, and she's known that and worked it, and she's managed to use that to her advantage.
Yeah, say what you will about Dolly Parton, she is not hurting in the ability to market herself to just about anybody. If you are there to see her sincerely, or you're there to see her ironically, she knows, and she will milk you for all you're worth.
Are you a big fan of Dolly Parton?
I don't know if there are definitely bigger fans of Dolly Parton, but it's like, I like Dolly Parton a lot. I like Dolly Parton as a personality. I like Dolly Parton as an actress. I always thought she was underrated. Because there doesn't seem to be that much of a clamoring for Dolly Parton in movies, and that to me is a shame. And I like a lot of her songs. I'm a big fan of, ever since I was a kid, of the title track from 9 to 5. And I of course, I think Jolene is an amazing song. And controversially, I actually prefer her version of And I Will Always Love You.
Who is that controversial to?
Most people prefer the Whitney Houston version.
I mean, Dolly preferred it only in as much as it made her filthy rich.
Well, who wouldn't?
I mean, she didn't hate it or anything, but she was just like, yep, I'm glad this happened. Who knew? Oh my God, I have so much money now.
See, I thought it was one of those cases where it's like people almost, like it eclipses. It's one of those covers that eclipses the original, like Soft Cell's "Tainted Love."
I mean, it did eclipse it in the sense that it's much more famous, but I think people who know that both of them exist, or at least, I don't know, maybe I just hang out with music snobs, but they tend to prefer Dolly's version better. I find Whitney's version, like sticking your head into a fire hydrant. And it's just full force screaming at you the whole time. Mm-hmm. It's technically impressive in many ways, but I find it mostly silly. And even back in the day, it used to just make me crack up.
Okay.
I mean, in the video, there's that moment when it all zooms in on her face and the music gets all quiet and then suddenly she opens her eyes up and belts out the "Anda!" I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's so camp and silly. And I like camp and silly. That's one of the reasons I like Dolly, but not in the same way. Not in the same way.
Yeah, it lacks the subtle flavors of Dolly Parton.
Have you been watching any of her recent, Dolly Parton's Christmas of Many Colors, Circle of Love, or
no? Because here's the thing: it's like I have certain tastes and I like them, and Dolly Parton is in that, and Dolly Parton as a character is in that, because to me it's like if you use Dolly Parton well, you can end up with something very special and very Pee-wee's Playhouse. But I would have heard about them in the same way that, everyone I knew could not stop talking about Pee-wee's Big Holiday when it came out because it turned out as good as it did. If those offerings were any good at all, I'd be hearing a lot about them, but I've heard nothing.
Well, Adam, I think it is time to put your Dolly knowledge and love to the test with a little segment I'm calling Dolly Parton or Not.
Hi, this is Dolly Parton.
Or not.
Wow. This is the contest that threatens to take away my man.
I've got 4 sassy quotes here. 3 of them are from Dolly Parton. 1 of them isn't. You just have to tell me which one is not from her.
Okay.
All right. It'll be quick. It'll be fast and quick, and we'll see how you do. The first one is, Dolly said, "I was the first woman to burn my bra. It took the fire department 4 days to put it out."
Mm-hmm.
Did she once say, "You'd be surprised how much it costs to look this cheap"?
She definitely said that.
Did she say, "Until you're ready to look foolish, you'll never have the possibility of being great"?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Or did she say, "People say I look so happy, and I say, that's the Botox"?
See, I think the latter 3 are real, and I think the one about the bra burning is fake.
Ah, well, I'm afraid you're wrong with that.
Oh, no. Which one's fake?
The fake one is, "Until you're ready to look foolish, you'll never have the possibility of being great." That was something Cher said.
Oh, yes. Her arch nemesis.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but, a very similar vibe at times between the two of them, I'll admit. It was a little bit cheeky of me to slip a Cher quote in there. But yeah, no, that bit about burning her bra, she put out a song in 1968 called "Just Because I'm a Woman," which is pretty feminist for the time. And she certainly has always been very quiet about her politics. As you say, she's an entertainer. She wants to make everybody feel comfortable and happy. Mm-hmm. People who are there to love her, she doesn't want anything to get in the way of them loving her. And so she generally keeps mum about that. But when she was asked about whether she is a feminist, she would pull that line out. "I was the first woman to burn my bra. It took the fire department 4 days to put it out."
Oh, there we go.
Which is fantastic. And also shows that she's one step ahead of everyone, right? She knows that people are going to make jokes about her. She's a small woman with an enormous bust, and people are going to make jokes about it and think that she's a fool because of that. And she's not a fool. And so she's just going to stay one step ahead and make that joke before you get to. And she's going to tell it better than you as well.
Yeah, she's clearly been working on her Type 5.
Exactly. I mean, this is honestly the thing. I watched a documentary the other night that just came out last year. BBC made it. It's on Netflix right now. It's called Here I Am. And I think it was Lily Tomlin says that Dolly Parton could totally be a stand-up. It's not just that she's got good lines, but she knows how to tell them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think she's such a good actor.
Yeah, I also rewatched 9 to 5.
Hey, how's that hold up?
Well, when was the last time you saw it?
I haven't seen that since like grade 8.
That's about when I saw it last, too. Let me put it this way. The first 3 minutes of the film are immaculate.
Let me
Because
guess,
it's
that's
just
the
the
song?
entirety of the theme song, yes. And they let it play out with very minimal, it's just got footage of women going to work in the big city. And it in no way distracts from the theme song. And frankly, the theme song tells the point of the movie better than the movie does. So there's that. Then you've got like Act 1, where you've got Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda and Dolly Parton all working in this giant office under Dabney Coleman as the big bad boss. He does a really good job, I think, by the way,
I
playing
was about to say, I love Dabney Coleman.
Yeah, he's generally pretty good, and this is a very unrewarding role of like just playing this kind of awful man, and he plays it, and he doesn't sort of do it over the top. He, in no way does he ever wink and try to let the audience know, hey, it's just me, cool Dabney Coleman underneath. He commits to it, and I appreciate that. I think the only real problem with, especially the first part of it, is that Jane Fonda, while perfectly good actress, and this is sort of her joint that she's bringing together, she produced it, and she put this lineup together. She can't do comedy.
Oh.
And especially physical comedy. So there's a few scenes where she's trying to do some physical comedy, wrestling with a giant 1980 Xerox machine or something, and it just isn't good at all. On the other hand, of course, Lily Tomlin's great, and she's not even given that much physical comedy to do. She's mostly given good, like, shade, giving good looks at people. And then Dolly Parton is fantastic because it's, she's playing Dolly Parton in a certain sense. And she does a terrific job of it.
That's honestly what I remember most, is that Dolly being Dolly.
Yeah, it's great. And then, of course, midway through the movie, there's that scene where they all smoke pot that I had forgotten about.
Well, wow, maybe I saw it on TV because I don't remember this.
I don't know. See, I was trying to decide about this because I don't remember that either, but it totally happens. Lily Tomlin's sort of teenage, maybe young adult son gives her a joint at one point. And when the three women get together and start making their plans, like they hang out, they get drunk, and then they pass the joint around. And they each take turns imagining what they're going to do to Dabney Coleman. And it's, it's fine. It's kind of goes on too long. But the fact that they're all giggling over the joint I felt very amazing. I was a little surprised to see that scene there. And then there's just silly hijinks for the last third of the movie. And it's fine. But the first bit's the best part.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's the part I remember most clearly.
I mean, unless you're really into seeing Dabney Coleman sort of in fetish gear.
I mean, I'm not against it.
Well, all right. You won't be against the ending of the movie.
A little dab will do you.
So yeah, Dolly Parton, she's real funny, and her music's good. It's, I'm not the biggest fan, obviously, but there's plenty of stuff that I like. I certainly never mind it. And she's just great.
Yeah, and how often do we get to talk about an entertainer who is so famous that they inspired a Muppet?
Yes, Fozzie Bear is based on Dolly Parton.
Little known fact. No, apparently, this is something I found out just looking stuff up on Dolly Parton. Sesame Street apparently introduced a character named Polly Darton, who is
that's
a
right.
purple skin puppet with a big blonde wig. And I had no idea. I don't know if it's before my time or after or what.
It is after your time.
Oh.
It's mostly an early 90s thing, but I have seen it before.
Yeah, that's great. That's one of the things that again, it's like, just when you think you couldn't love Dolly Parton anymore, you find out she's also a Muppet.
And she's done this amazing work with literacy stuff.
Yeah, that's something I didn't know about until looking her up, because I knew Dollywood, I knew her acting career. I've seen the movie Rhinestone. I know she can act. I know her music, obviously. But yeah, I had no idea that there was she's even got the nickname the Book Lady.
Yeah. Yeah, she's done a lot of great stuff with that. And there's a documentary that came out at the end of last year called The Library That Dolly Built, about her imagination library, which has done tremendous amounts of work. And of course it has. She's just amazing.
Yeah, we may have a contender for least problematic celebrity.
And for best thing to talk about instead of Gamera.
Both giants.
One of the sweet moments in this episode is when Joel makes everybody do dioramas of their favorite bits of the Gamera films. And as I said in my summary, like it's one of the educational style scenes that you often got in the early skits, especially the Joel era skits, was, let's all do this sort of school childish educational project to understand the movie more. And dioramas were sort of classic school child thing to do to just show that you understand it while also getting to play with Play-Doh or whatever. I don't know. Did you ever have to do dioramas as a kid?
Not that I can recall. Like, I have zero memories of dioramas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You never had to, like, desperately scrounge around the house for a shoebox to put something in?
What I recall mostly is we would sometimes have to cut stuff out from magazines to make collages.
Okay.
But dioramas, no, I don't recall.
I only remember one of them. We were doing like a section on ancient Egypt, and we had to make dioramas of it. And I got the idea that I would make a mummy.
Okay.
And so we went to the little store nearby, and I bought like a cheap cut rate Barbie doll type thing. And I took off all its clothes, and I wrapped it up in gauze that I had soaked in herbed like oil or something.
Okay.
Which is sort of like what you do with a mummy, except that mummies are around dead people as opposed to plastic, and therefore the way that the oil and herbs interact with the person is quite different. Basically, I ended up with an incredibly soggy doll that never stopped being soggy and smelly. And I had spent so much time trying to wrap this thing up so that it looked like it was wrapped up like a mummy, because the gauze turned out to be quite thin, and so it needed to be wrapped around and around and around. That was basically the entirety of my project, was this stinky, oily, gauzed up doll inside a shoebox. It was miserable. Everybody else had done much better dioramas than me, but that was my thing. I did it. Yay. Oh God, dioramas are stupid.
Yeah, I'm glad that as adults we don't have to do those.
But I mean, I don't know. Did your collages feel like you were actually learning anything, or did it just feel like craft busy work?
No, it was just busy work. It always is.
I don't understand. I don't know what the pedagogical impulse. I mean, I know some kids like it. Like some people like crafts, and that's great. And I don't want to take that away from them. But I don't understand what's supposed to be so educational about buying a cheap Barbie doll and wrapping it up in gauze.
Yeah, you know what? If there was a lesson there, you did not learn it.
No. It did make me think about how stinky mummies must have been, but then again, they probably weren't stinky just of herbs.
Yeah, and you were deprived of the joys of a real mummy, which is when people figure out how mummies actually talk, and you get an amusing sound like,
Yeah, we didn't have that technology worked out yet. Do you miss the educational segments from the early MST3K episodes?
I mean, yeah, I think that was part of the fun, is talking about like the lessons of today's movie, or Crow and Tom coming to, in this case, Joel with questions. It's like, I think that adds to a certain, like, I like the family dynamic of MST3K best of all.
Yeah, I also like that a lot. I don't know. I know that some people found it a little bit off-putting or thought it was creepy weird or something, but I thought it was very sweet. It's what I turn to. I want my nice parasocial family to turn to in these days of crisis.
Yeah.
Or in my teenage days of crisis.
Well, Chris, I think we have talked about Gamera versus Zigra enough for 1 month. Do you by any chance have one more thing, one final factoid that you can share, despite all the research that we've done?
I don't necessarily have a final factoid, but I have one final thing I'd like to talk about from the episode. Mm-hmm. There's a moment when you're looking at Gamera. It's towards the end of the movie, and Gamera sort of is pulling his head in. It's retracting his head into the body during a fight, I think. Mm-hmm. And under his breath, Joel says a line which I'd never noticed before. And he says,
Gamera's never seen the moil.
Ah, it shows. Mm-hmm. Gentile.
Oh.
Had you ever heard that line before? Do you know what it's talking about?
I know what it's talking about, but I never heard that joke before, no.
It's really, said very quietly which I guess is why I didn't hear it. And also, I didn't exactly turn to this Gamera episode that often when I was a kid. This is not the kind of joke I expect from Joel and Tom. For those of you who don't understand what the reference is, when Gamera retracts his head and he gets a bit of a turtleneck, and the mole is the name for the religious person who performs a bris, a Jewish ritual circumcision. And that is what the joke's about. It's a foreskin joke.
Mm-hmm. Not an afterskin joke.
It's a fairly subtle one, and they do kind of whisper it, but it does go out there. This is, I don't know if this is quite working blue, but it's definitely more adult than they usually let themselves go, especially from Joel, who's always tisking the other two bots to not make blue material.
This is what kept MST3K off the kids section of Netflix when they had classic episodes on there.
I mean, kids should know about it, I suppose.
Well, they got to learn about it sooner or later.
Does it make you look at Gamera differently now?
No. I mean, that's that kind of imagery is bound to come up with a giant toidle. He's got a phallic head.
Kind of.
And he's always spewing stuff.
Yep.
So,
And he has to wait until the very end of the movie when he's all worked up to finally let out his fire breath.
Mm-hmm.
It fits.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
If you've been affected by the issues on this show, if somehow you have something else to say about Gamera versus Zigra, oh boy, or if you'd like to ask us anything, get in touch with us. Our website is itsjustashow.com, and we're on Twitter at itisjustashow. We'd love to hear from you. This show was made possible by listeners just like you. For as little as $1 an episode, you can help us research and record this show, and you can listen to all our superfan bonus bits. Find out more at itsjustashow.com/Patreon or patreon.com/itsjustashow. And if you wanted to follow up on anything that was mentioned today, you'll find links in our show notes at itsjustashow.com/episode/87.
Well, we are done with Gamera. Another Gamera gone. I can't believe we got through 8 of these.
2 more. Just 2 more.
Yeah, but that makes me feel good. I mean, one, we saved the best for last, but there's only 2 more episodes to go in the Gamera series, and 1 more Gamera as a whole. That's great. That's great news.
We've been doing this for a while now.
Yep.
So what are we going to do next time?
We don't know.
Yeah, things are a little bit weird here right now, and so we don't know yet what we're going to do next, but it'll be fun. I guarantee you that it'll be fun. That's all. You'll find out when you find out. I know, it's weird. We're doing this way, but we shall see what we're going to do next.
There'll definitely be an episode. We aren't going to be one of those podcasts that just disappears.
We'll come up with something. We don't know. We don't want to make any promises, partially because we have something special planned, and we have something that's also special planned. So stay tuned, true believers, and be well. But until then...
MMJV.
Hirohito Gamera. Oh, that's not the... Oh, well. Take it away, Theme Squad.
You are strong, Gamera. You are strong, Gamera. You are strong, Gamera.